Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So welcome to another market open stream. The bell has just run, and today, of course, we got to talk about what's going on with Bitcoin and crypto and why the DXY keeps rising. Why does the DXY not rise? And what is the correlation between DXY, the US dollar, and Bitcoin and crypto? Let's talk about all these things today and more. All right, smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell to get notified of all my streams. Follow me on social media. Check out CryptosRUs.com and make sure you follow my other channels as well. Good morning, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully you guys are doing better today versus yesterday. Yesterday we had a pretty bad day overall. So I'm going to talk about this thing with the DXY. Also, there's something else that I want to talk about that may have caused what we saw yesterday. But right now, if you're looking at U.S. market, it's a little green, right? About even, but turning green. And this says, yeah, market is bracing for third quarter point hike from the Fed this month. I mean, that's in a couple weeks. We definitely do have another FOMC meeting, right? In the U.S., we're still worried about this next rate hike from Powell. But, right now, things are kind of going in line with expectations, and that's good. But the bigger worry is what's happening in Europe right now. And that relates a lot to what's going on to DXY and relates a lot to why tech, crypto, risk-on assets are being affected. Right now, Bitcoin is slightly higher than last night. We're about 18.9. Obviously, not in a good place. Anything under 20,000, not a good place, right? We definitely saw some selling yesterday, and prior to that, we see like these chunks of selling, right? Some of it is due to liquidations, kind of cascading, but someone started selling. Who is that someone, right? I think I may have identified it. But before I get to that, let's take a look at what's going on, right? Obviously, with DXY, a lot of you guys have been paying attention to this. DXY keeps going up, 110, and it does not look like it wants to stop anytime soon. And if you look at it from this perspective, well, hey, actually down a little bit this morning, but if you look at it from this perspective, it's been just going up and up and up and up and up. This is the day chart, and you could see ever since, this was the bottom here, the beginning of the year, January 1st, exactly January 1st, basically, DXY went from a low of 89 up to 110, okay? And many are charting it, trying to make sense of it. And many are trying to see, well, if you're charting the DXY, it does look like maybe, we're going to get that blow off top, and then things are going to come down, and then maybe we're going to get something worse. People are trying to chart DXY, but here's the thing. The DXY is very hard to chart. It's not like the DXY could be overbought or oversold. It's really dependent on how strong the US dollar is, right? That's what the DXY is. It's just the index measuring the dollar versus several major other industry fiats around the world. So, I take all the charting of DXY with a grain of salt because it's not like stocks. It's not like crypto. There's no oversold or overbought. It's just how strong the USD is, right? And just looking at this to give you guys a complete picture, the DXY really pegs the USD against the euro, which is a huge weight, about 58%. Then you have the Japanese yen, the British pound, then you have the Canadian dollar, Swedish krona, and finally the Swiss franc, okay? But the biggest comparison is against the euro. And then you have the Japanese yen and British pound. I thought British pound was second. Actually, that fell down. But look at what happened to euro. 1 euro is now not even at parity with the USD. 1 euro is actually below the USD once again. And take a look since a month ago till now, it's been doing nothing but going down, right? So obviously, This is not good. This is why the DXY is showing it's going up. And why is the euro going down? Well, there's a lot of tension in Europe right now. There's a lot of inflation fears as well, right? And I'll get to a little bit of that soon. But yeah, this is the reason why DXY is going up. I mean, because the euro just keeps getting worse. Weaker, I should say. Well, what about the British pound? Well, look at that. I mean, it's 114 to 1 now, right? Again, from a month ago, it just keeps going down. What about the Japanese yen? Well, Japanese yen got worse. Look at this steep sell-off from just a few days ago, right? What about the Canadian dollar? Well, it's been selling off too. Not as much as the others. Okay, what about the Swedish krona? It's been going down too. And then you look at the Swiss franc. It's been going down. So every single fiat, major fiat around the world that's compared to the dollar is getting weaker. And that is the reason why DXY goes up. DXY is skyrocketing, and this is why we need to watch this and pay attention to this, because it's not going to go down anytime soon. No chart is going to say, okay, this is the top, now it's time to reverse, because, you know, other currencies are just getting less valuable, and they're basically getting debased based on their inflation, based on worries of war, based on a lot of things that's going on, right? So this is the unfortunate thing about the DXY. I know many of you guys are watching it. Maybe some of you guys aren't, but you should be. Because traditionally speaking, when a DXY, when a dollar goes higher, when a dollar gets very, very strong, everything else goes down. Commodities go down traditionally. Equities goes down. Crypto goes down, right? But when the reversal happens, when the DXY starts coming down, guess what happens? The money flows out of the dollar and is used to buy other things, such as crypto and Bitcoin and stuff, right? Traditionally speaking, if you look at previous cycles, the most bullish times for Bitcoin is when the DXY was coming down, right? And that is what we want to see. We want to see the DXY come down a little bit, because it's just a little bit too high at this point. So yeah, I wanted to start out with that. And you may be wondering, well, okay, that's all good, but why is the euro and the British pound and everything else so weak against the dollar? Why are they not gaining strength? Well, I mean, the war is obviously still going on, right? Here's the thing. Here's the game that's being played, and I think many of you guys would be interested in hearing this. So the EU, right, the Europe in general, is kind of worried about what Russia is doing right now. They basically halted the natural gas supply going into Germany with Nord Stream, right? And how EU plans on countering it is by by planning on putting a cap on how much they pay for Russian gas. So, I mean, to me, this doesn't seem like it's a good comeback, right? The country that you're dependent on for natural gas, now you're telling them, I'm only going to pay this much for it. So it's going to be less than what I used to pay you. So you better turn it up or you're not going to make any money. But the thing is, Russia's like, okay, so what if I don't make that money? I'll make you guys freeze to death instead in the winter, right? So, I mean, this whole plan doesn't seem like it's a really good one. And this is the reason why people are not so enthusiastic about European markets, because as we head into the winter, this is going to bring disaster, right? But not only that, that's not the funny part of this whole thing. Actually, this whole thing's not funny, but I did want to show you guys this connection here. It's a big circle, because you know what else is going on? Because Russia is not selling to Europe, guess who they're selling to? They're selling to China. They're selling to China, and not only that, they're trying to get off the USD standard, so they're selling China and they're accepting rubles or yuan, okay? So we know that's happening. And guess what China is doing? China has all this natural gas now. They're buying it cheap, and they're buying, you know, as much as they want right now, right? Guess what they're doing with it? Well, now they're selling that back to Europe. That's what's happening right now. So just think about that. You have Russia not selling to Europe, so now they're selling to China. China is now selling back to Europe, probably making pretty good pretty good profit. You know, they could raise the rates, they could raise the price, right? And who's winning here? China. So, man, you know, that you can't make this kind of stuff up. You really can't, right? So now Europe, if they can't buy from Russia, they're going to be buying from China, and China gets unlimited from Russia. And, you know, who's benefiting? Well, Russia is too, because they're still selling their gas, and China is. But who's not benefiting? Europe. You know, that's what's happening right now. And I don't know, you know, I don't know how this could get solved. It's just, yeah, it's very, 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 there's an agenda here. There's definitely agenda, and it's being played out right now like perfection. All right, so yeah, that's kind of why, you know, Europe, you know, is kind of struggling with this whole thing, this worry that, you know, about winter and energy, you know, lack of energy, I should say, in the winter. Energy prices are skyrocketing. Natural gas prices skyrocketing. Oil is going up, right? Obviously, the energy, with energy going up, inflation is going to get worse, right? And Europe, ECB, is not nearly as hawkish as Powell is. I think there's only been one rate hike so far this year. Powell already did like, what, 3 or 4, and there's 3 more coming up. Right? So ECB also not very hawkish, not proactive in terms of trying to curb inflation. So all these things, and same thing with Japan and some of the other countries too. So this is the reason why DXY continues to go up and will probably go up for quite some time. So unfortunately, that's the case. All right, now what else is there? There's a lot of other stuff. As for Ethereum, you know, obviously that didn't, the merge is still happening, right? So there's still a lot of excitement over that. But I saw this. There's a bank that's going to be offering Ethereum staking service as the merge nears. I'm getting emails and hearing left and right about how many places are now going to allow you to stake your Ethereum. There's a lot of enthusiasm over the new merge and being proof of stake and not proof of work. Proof of work, you can only, you know, spin up a GPU miner and crank it away 24/7 to mine Ethereum. But soon you'll be able to stake it and earn rewards. But here's the thing. If you're staking, right, keep in mind you are not going to be able to take out the rewards for about 6 to 12 months. So keep that in mind, right? This is the reason why I think many people think that Ethereum is going to do well afterwards, including myself, because there's a lot locked in, okay? And you can't withdraw. Everything that's locked into the beacon chain right now cannot be withdrawn. So for at least 12 months, 6 to 12 months. So keep that in mind. All right, what else is going on? Well, I did see this. I did say at the beginning that there is possibly explanation of who has been selling, right? I did see this. Ancient 15,000 Bitcoins moving 10 days prior to the massive BTC drop. A lot of it moving to Kraken, right? So why? No one knows, right? 15,000 Bitcoin equates to quite a lot. 2.5 something, almost $3 billion, right? So whoever wanted to sell, if they wanted to do this, you know, they should have done it in the OTC market. But if they're selling that much on the open market on Kraken or wherever, yeah, you're going to see down, you know, massive down spikes, right? And that is exactly what we saw. You know, just take a look recently. We had one over here. Well, 4 hours show this better. You can see massive sell right here, massive sell over here, massive sell over here, right? So we've been seeing a lot of that, and it could be due to this one ancient, you know, holder, and for whatever reason decided to sell about $3 billion worth of BTC. Oh, I don't know, but you know, on top of this, with the liquidations I've been telling you guys about, with overall fear right now, there's just not a lot of buyers. So yeah, it could definitely be the cause and cause markets to go down. But here's the thing, all right? Even though things are kind of fearful, kind of, you know, bad right now, right? There are still a lot of people that's very hopeful. This is comparing Bitcoin from a chart perspective to the 2013 to 2016 level. But interesting enough, the RSI and this double top scenario is actually playing out pretty identically, right? So there are a lot of chartists that still say, hey, this is a great time to be buying. But as I've been saying, from a fundamental standpoint, nothing has changed. Bitcoin is still strong, and you could argue strongest it's ever been, because you look at some of these things like illiquid supply, how much is taken off the exchanges and no longer tradable, all-time high. You have long-term holder supply, all-time high. Accumulation addresses, all-time high, right? Number of people holding above 1 Bitcoin, all-time high. So the holders are not going away. They continue to hodl, they continue to DCA, and the network itself is only getting stronger. The hash rate is near all-time high. Difficulty is all-time high, right? So these are things that I care about. The fundamentals of Bitcoin, and they have never been better. So despite the fact that the price could be manipulated, short-term there could be volatility, but long-term, we know Bitcoin is the hardest and scarcest asset out there and will continue to thrive as more and more people adopt it and more countries adopt it too. Speaking of countries, it's because it's happening. We know already El Salvador embraced Bitcoin, right? Several other smaller countries have embraced Bitcoin, but you're starting to see a lot of larger countries that want to embrace it. So Brazilians spent almost $1 billion on crypto in May, right? And now they are looking at coming out with their own digital currency as well. A lot of countries are looking at embracing crypto as well, even though many of them are looking at CBDC, central bank digital currency, right? But they're also opening up to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and others, right? And building digital wallets and building out the infrastructure. So these are all positive things that are still happening despite the price being down. So these are fantastic things to focus on. All right, last two things. Voyager. Voyager is going to be holding an asset auction on September 13th. So that's coming up in a week. I don't think normal Joes like you and I can go in and bid for Bitcoin at, $1,000. It's going to be like the big boys like FTX, Alameda, even though Voyager's not very happy with them. So I don't know if they're going to be, well, they probably don't have a choice. There's rumors that Binance may be getting in on it. Rumors that maybe like Ripple Labs, who expressed interest before. So, these big boys may be buying, but I don't know what that means for people that have their crypto stuck on Voyager, whether or not they're going to get any of it back. I don't know, or it just belongs to these big exchanges. I actually don't know how that works, but yeah, that's not good either. There's just a lot of stuff happening in September. And lastly, Curve Protocol is going to be coming out their new over-collateralized stablecoin, CurveUSD. And this will be coming out pretty soon. Curve obviously is one of the bigger DeFi projects out there. They felt they needed to come out as stablecoin. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, as for Bitcoin, still recovering a little bit, so that's positive. 18.9, right? Love to see us get back to at least 20,000, right? We would feel all a little bit better at 20,000, but let's see what the U.S. market is. U.S. market is in green today. On top, breaking news, Delaware court denies Musk's request to delay Twitter trial, but approves request to add whistleblower claims. Interesting. All right, let's do some Q&A. Brendan, just built a Lego Aston Martin. So cleverly engineered, satisfying to build. Hey, I have that in my background, right on top there. Yeah, all all the Lego sets are satisfying. The bigger sets are all very satisfying. I didn't pick up the new Lambo. Some of the bigger sets are just crazy though, really crazy. All right, let me scroll up, make sure I didn't miss anything here. Anton, no. I'm going to say no to your answer. Time for a European vacation. You know, probably like flight and accommodations to Europe, probably lower now, I would say. Thor Ham says, no worries, the best is yet to come. I totally agree. Gold is 16.8. Are you serious? I didn't even pay attention to gold. Did gold really drop? No, that's the gold stock. Let's see. Gold price. Wow, gold has dropped to 1,700. So, I think this proves that, first of all, what we're experiencing, the macro stuff, right, is affecting everything. But what this also proves is that gold is not a good store of value anymore. Not like previous times. So you go back 10 years, right? Basically, 10 years ago, it was at this price. So even though it did go down nearly to 1,000 and then came back up to 2,000, but right now where it's at is exactly the same place as 10 years ago. What about silver? I'm just curious about silver. Silver is worse. Silver 10 years ago was actually higher. So both gold and silver has proven that they are both not inflation hedges anymore. In fact, they're worse than inflation. You have to have some gain over the last 10 years to prove that you're outperforming inflation, right? The fact that they're at the same price or lower means that both of these are horrible, horrible holds for inflation. Now, if you measure Bitcoin going back 10 years, forget about it. It's like millions and millions of percent higher. Yeah, it's really weird. Usually during recession or fearful times, gold goes up, right? So even Peter Schiff, who thinks he's winning by saying, oh, Bitcoin is collapsing, it's going to go to zero, but his beloved gold is not doing any better. In fact, it's coming down too. What do you think about a new M6? The M's all look great. I mean, YK, they all look great. They feel great too. They're terrific to drive. But the thing is, all of them, if you're just looking for pure speed, all of them feel slow when compared to a EV car. So that's the thing. But I love the sound. I love the look. I like the M4s a lot. I think they look fantastic. You have to take the price 10 years ago and subscribe all inflation since. If it's the same price, then it's overpriced. It overperformed inflation. I don't quite get what you just said, Samuel, but here's the bottom line. It didn't, even if it outperformed due to, if you factor in inflation, it did very little. Okay, very, very little. Let's see, overall market cap up slightly, right? So that's good, but still down about 5% versus yesterday. Colpack says, every EV I've driven handle like a yacht. I don't know which EVs, but I figure you probably driven one because no EV I've driven handles like a yacht. They all handle very damn well because it's very heavy. The battery pack is very heavy, low to the ground. The center of gravity is way lower. And the steering is a lot more precise. The acceleration is instant. The throttle feel is perfect. So I don't know which EV cars you've driven. You're probably talking about plug-in hybrids or hybrids. They're not the same. Drive a pure EV car. I love my Y, best car ever. I don't disagree. Y is terrific. This is why Tesla can't sell enough of them and keeps raising the price. But I will say this. I have an X, right? And the X and the S has bigger and more comfortable seats. The suspension is softer. I think the Y is kind of stiff, especially over imperfections on the road. But and the fact that I like my X better because there's a digital gauge cluster rather than just one center screen. And I hate those door handles on the Y. I can't stand them. The Y and the 3. You know, it's like you have your friends or family for the first time trying to get into Tesla. They're like, how the hell do I open the door? It's like, it shouldn't be that complicated. But other than that, the Y is terrific. It's much bigger than people think. Very fast, very comfortable. I've said before, I think the Y is probably the best like compact SUV you could buy. Compact / midsize SUV. It's pretty big. Yeah, it is much. You could get 2 Ys for a price of X. So, yeah. So is the X really worth it? Not really. But if you want a great tax deduction, look at the X instead of a Y. Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, way more fun. I prefer the Bronco over the Wrangler. Although I've never done like crazy off-roading, but a Bronco is much more better built and more comfortable on the road. Neil asks, my crypto is down 50%. Should I double down or continue small DCAs? Well, at this point, I would say you could go heavier with your DCA because of how low we are, but we could obviously still go lower. We could retest 17K. It's not too far off, right? We just don't know where that bottom is, or we just simply recover, and this is our double bottom. But I would say don't go all in or don't double down. Still, continue your ways, DCA. Maybe you could do a little heavier DCA or do it more often because of the price point we're at, right? So still leave room for more, I guess. Nothing beats a school bus with Top Shot. I don't know where you live, Chris, but sounds like a hoot. Still need solid axles, but yes, Bronco's epic. Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm guessing like the Wrangler still like in terms of aftermarket parts and stuff. In terms of like just trying to climbing a rock 6 feet high or something like that. The Wrangler's probably still better and has the detachable auto detachable sway bar or sway bar disconnect, stuff like that. I think the Wrangler's probably still better suited to go off road. And if something breaks, really easy to fix, right? But if you're looking for more on-road comfort, I mean, that's the Bronco. The Bronco is really well built, really nice. It still have the off-road chops, maybe not as much as a Wrangler, but it could pretty much still go anywhere. I can't wait until Bronco Raptors actually become, more attainable. So I would love to get a Bronco Raptor. Have I seen recent updates from Elron? Joshua asks. No, unfortunately, I haven't. I haven't seen anything really from Elron. Looking at Bitcoin, still kind of not moving. Like right now. Oh, I forgot to check out. Yeah, look at this. Every day I mention it, and every day it keeps going down, despite the fact it seems like everything is selling off. Right? Bitcoin dominance continues to go down. Just yesterday, I talked about Bitcoin dominance going down, and it was at 38.2%. Today it's at 38.1%. So BTC dominance keeps going down. ETH dominance actually went up. It's almost back to 20%. So why I think this is good, Bitcoin maxis are arguing, no, it's no good. All the alts need to die before Bitcoin recover, right? That'll never happen. Why this is good is because I do think Bitcoin is more controlled and manipulated at this point because of the larger institutions getting involved. But why this is good overall is because the holders, the bag holders of altcoins are not leaving. They're not just dumping and selling it off. Now, some people argue, well, maybe everyone's just going to stable coins, right? Well, if that's the case, then ETH dominance will not be going up. So no, I argue that there's some of that, but primarily people that are holding on their alts are continuing to hold, and they're DCAing because they believe that things will get better and we will go back up, right? So I think that overall is very positive. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. We have never, ever, ever been through a period where Bitcoin dominance has gone down while we are in a correction, while we're in crypto winter, bear market, major volatile times. We have only ever seen Bitcoin dominance go down when there's altcoin season, when everything is rallying. Right now, obviously, nothing is rallying, but the alts are showing more strength than Bitcoin, and we have never ever seen that before. We have never ever seen Bitcoin dominance this low during a time like this. So it does show maturity of the space, maturity of the holders in the space, and I think that's overall pretty positive. Jack says, Luna Classic now owned by Russian government. I don't know where you got that from. I don't know where you got that from. Maybe Bitcoin sold off, or maybe this person sold off to buy Luna Classic. I don't know. You just don't know at this point. BTC investors are trying to make some money on the ETH dump. It will go back into BTC after the merge. Sure. I mean, even though ETH has gained strength, it's not climbing either right now. It still went down over the last day. So I don't know if that's the case. Really, nothing is in the green right now. Everything is in the red. Ted says, what worries me is that everyone thinks 2024 is the year. Do you know why they think it's 2024? Because that's the next halving event. That's when Bitcoin will have its inflation cut in half. So right now it's 900 Bitcoins being released a day. It'll drop down to 450. And historically speaking, every time we have a halving event, Bitcoin starts skyrocketing. So I don't have an indicator, but there's an indicator in here that shows you. Oh, I do have the indicators. Here we go. So that was the last halving event. And you can see shortly afterwards what Bitcoin did, right? And then this was the halving event beforehand. And you can see, well, what happened afterwards. This is the reason why people think, well, in 2024, when we have our next halving event, the same thing will happen, right? Especially if we're down, especially if we've been down for a long time, right? And it's somewhere like mid 2024, somewhere around here. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's organize a baseball game. Man, I haven't played baseball since I was a kid. BTC dominance going down because DXY dominance going up? No, not specifically. But DXY going up is something that we need to pay attention to because DXY is not good for commodities or equities or crypto. When it continues to rise, traditionally speaking, everything else goes down. And right now, that's exactly what's happening, right? But the DXY is not going to go up until the situation in Europe and around the world gets better, and does not seem like that's happening anytime soon. Well, there will be new iPhones and watches coming out today. That'll solve issues. Here's how you could tell that inflation in the U.S. is not affecting people all that much, because someone like Apple continues to have crazy sales, beating expectations, like inflation and recession means nothing. That's how you could tell that U.S. households are still doing somewhat okay, or priorities of households have really gone out the window and people rather buy phones than buy food or other things that they need. But yeah, Apple continues to amaze me. They somehow fool the generation that you have to upgrade your phone every single year and you have to pay $800 to $1,000 for a phone, which is double the price of a decent laptop. I mean, it's not easy to do. It's not easy to do, but Apple has done it. So. Did you ever watch the show Firefly? No, I was I saw the commercials a lot, but never got into it. Couldn't, I don't know, just couldn't. I couldn't stand the guy, the main character. Yo, George, we're going to Bahamas when BTC hits 100K in 2025. Sure, I was there already this year. Bahamas, very, very, very expensive for food. Extremely expensive for food. Like, expect to pay $50 a person every meal while you're in the Bahamas. So, just get ready for that. At least if you're staying at a resort. If you're just staying in the main city, maybe not. But if you're in a resort, be prepared to shell out some major bucks for food. V Hunt says, M-Car slow? You tripping. They are slow. They are slow when you compare them to a Tesla. Compare them to any performance Tesla and they're slow. They're fast compared to other gas cars, but you know, EVs dominate if you want speed. Joe, I appreciate that. You know, it keeps getting delayed. You know, I'm so anxious to get started, yet I'm still fearful about it too, because rising rates and the economy not doing well, everything not doing well, right? So I'm kind of fearful about that as well. Take a cruise? Yes. My last cruise was canceled right before the shutdown, so we haven't gone on another cruise yet. All right. I think that's it. Unfortunately, we haven't seen Bitcoin recover more. Just a little bit, but not too much. U.S. market's still kind of near zero. All right, guys. Overall today, hopefully you learned a thing or two about DXY. I think it's something that we need to watch out for. And the one thing that's really holding the crypto market down is because the dollar strength is just way too high. And unfortunately, this is due to bad reasons, due to other nations and countries and zones that are just suffering a lot. And that is why the U.S. dollar is going up in value. And traditionally speaking, this is not good for markets. So something that we have to worry about and watch, right? Hopefully things change. But right now, it seems like this may be prolonged, right? But regardless, I've been telling you guys, Bitcoin is still strong, stronger than ever. So don't give up. Focus on the future in DCA. All right. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. In the meantime, go check out my other channels and definitely check out CryptosRUs.com for all the latest news, article, and guides. All right. Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.